Oh my, look at that. We're here. There's a little tiny bit of echo because I've got to have one of my cameras operating in a good way where we can do changes of scenes automatically, like what you're seeing now. So, okay, that's great. I am excited to be here again today with you all. There's quite a few things that I want to talk about. Number one is I'm fixing the audio. I'm getting feedback from my highly paid consultant, James, who keeps telling me that the audio is too quiet. And look at that, my camera is a little bit underexposed. Let's just jump that up a little bit, shall we? Make it say 2 stops, make it brighter, fit in with the other cameras a little. That's a bit better. Could even go a little bit higher. Let's just adjust that briefly. This is something I should have done earlier, I'm sure. This would be a bit more feedback for James, I'm sure, to earn his money, earn his keep. So, yeah, what I've done is I've attached a microphone to my body, to my person now, so that we can get just that little bit of better audio quality happening. Now, notice that camera there is a little bit... Ooh, where's that going? So this one? Must be this one, which is a little bit on the low side. Let's lift him up a bit so we get this happening here. I think I had it that way so that we could look at the guitar. I want to do more live streams with guitar, and to be able to, if anyone's interested to see what I'm doing on the guitar, then there's different views. One for the clicking, plucking, strumming hand, one for the fretting hand, and then there's one which does the whole view, so that's why it was adjusted a little bit weirdly. There's a few things I wanted to go through very quickly. So this is the Quick and Dirty Tuesday, which means it's quick, dirty, pretty much unplanned and just ad hoc. I think I'll grab this camera so we can do a little bit of in-depth discussions. So we'll quickly jump over here. So look, this camera, in fact, I've done a few things too. I have to show you in the mirror because I think it's going to be the best way to describe what's going on here. I've made some modifications. Can you see what I'm doing? So up here, there's this big old battery which I got ages ago. You can't see on top, but it's got a thing called an X-tap. There's a connection called D-tap, which is the industry standard. And then there's this other new thing, X-tap, which this battery unfortunately has. So I had to go and order an X-tap cable and bodgy up my own X-tap contraption, this thing here, to get power to the things that I wanted to do. See that one there? That's X-tap right there. So that X-tap connector, I had to solder and put it all together. And when I hook it up, it makes a really strange noise. So I've got a feeling I haven't hooked it up correctly. There's some kind of ground issue. It's a slight hissing ground in the background. It does disappear when I use the external microphone, so it's not terribly concerning. But, so which is what I've done here. I've hooked up this microphone into the camera, so we've got a mobile camera microphone. I got myself labbed up. Of course, it overrides that. Hopefully there's a slight echo, but not much. It's there so that we can switch to this automatically using the Rodecaster video. But this battery here powers the camera and the microphone and the video audio transmitter all at once from the one battery pack, because there's a small rig battery adapter I've got, which you probably can't see unless you look at the rear view. See that rear view? Maybe you can see it there, I don't know, in the other mirror behind this mirror. This adapter here has a 7.4 volt DC output, which plugs into the camera to power it. The battery itself then just is sitting in this holder to power via USB this transmitter. And then the microphone's powered from the camera itself as well. So it's doing power to 2 and a bit things, which is great. And the best thing about this camera is that this setup then can stay, I can basically power this pretty much all day to do video and audio all day with that one camera. Now, why have I told you that? I don't know, because I think it was a cheap alternative. Like the battery and the holder weren't that expensive, in the order of, say, maybe $150 to get it all going for all day live video audio. Yeah, pretty cool. There's a couple of new additions as well, so where will I start? I'll start here with this device. This is a French designed, but Chinese manufactured. So they've subcontracted this out. The French, they've done a good thing. CME Products, I think is the name of the company. CME. Yeah, designed in France, made in China. What it is a wireless, so Bluetooth, MIDI transmitter and receiver. So it's got a WIDI optional antenna, which I had to install myself. I don't understand why they don't put it all together in the one unit, but anyway, I bought, it sits in here, the WIDI optional Bluetooth transmitter receiver, just inside there. And it's got 2 ins and 2 outs for MIDI. So MIDI 1, MIDI 2 out, MIDI 1, MIDI 2 in. It also has USB-A to hook in a USB hub to then talk to maybe up to, I think it's 8 other USB MIDI devices, which is pretty remarkable. And then it's also got USB-C, which does both power and MIDI over USB. I can't really see it there. There's a viewer there. It's also right next to it, a 9-volt DC power supply input, which uses the same power supply as the Boss pedals. So these kind of connectors here, like that, 9-volt. So it's got a fairly versatile way of hooking things up. Now, I'm imagining they're doing that because most people using this device are going to be musicians, and most people who are musicians love pedals. And so the pedals, I'll get onto this in a sec, usually have that kind of a 9-volt DC connector. So that's really cool that they've thought about how to power this either through USB, so you can power it and use the USB-C for power and USB MIDI in the one, which is what I usually use it for. The good thing about this is you don't need a computer to have it all connect together. So for example, if I have this Akai MPK Mini Plus keyboard controller, which I want to use with the iPad, typically you can go directly from the MIDI controller to the iPad because it's got a MIDI host built in. But sometimes you want to go from one MIDI device to another where it needs a MIDI host to allow the communications. And sometimes you don't have those things around. I can't think of an example right now because things are pretty good with MIDI. Say, for example, I wanted to use this Blueboard MIDI controller, foot switch, with the keyboard, then I can't use them both together without some kind of a in-between, which is what this does. So that will link the two things together. If then I wanted to also then connect something to it via Bluetooth using MIDI, then I use this WIDI jack. And the WIDI jack plugs into the 5-pin DIN MIDI interface inputs and outputs on the device, or if it's got, in the case of the Boss RC5, it's got these 3.5 millimeter input output MIDI ports. And so you can use these cables to go, don't know why they did this, but anyway, 2.5 mil TRS is the connector for the WIDI jack, that's what they call it, WIDI jack. So that is the smaller, and then the 3.5 would go into the Boss RC5, for example, input and output. It still uses the input, output, and the through for standard MIDI type communications, but the flexibility for this is really good. So I can basically use Ableton Live running on my laptop here using the Push 2 to then go across the room wirelessly using those two devices to have this then control the Ableton Live over there remotely, which I can't think of a great example to demonstrate that, but it can be done. The downside is, unfortunately, on the back of this, we have a USB-B connector, plus we've got the two MIDI DINs here. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but Akai decided that they can't be used simultaneously. So you can either use the USB-B for MIDI or the standard 5-pin DIN MIDI connector ports there, but you can't use both at once, which is what I wanted to achieve with this. I was going to use that so that would go to the computer. This would go to the Akai, and then I was going to use the USB to go to the RC5 down there and have MIDI from the computer over the air to the Akai via the 5-pin DIN into the USB and then out to the RC5 and back again. But no, I can't do that because internally that and the 2 ports are not connected. The USB-B and the MIDI are not internally connected. I can only use one or the other, not both together simultaneously. So I've got to think of that solution a bit more. So that's a problem for another day. These are the instructions for the CME H4 MIDI WC and its little brother Jack. There's 4 or 5 other products that they're using in conjunction with this. So they've got weird little things, adapters and all kinds of plugs and things that will convert from one MIDI input-output to another, like a totally different format. So you might have, in the example of the Akai, you might have USB-B and you want to go to the DIN connector, for example, then these guys supply all of that, or they can supply all of that on their store. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's move along. So I've got this in addition to these 2. I bought this one first, this Mua Blues Mood, which is really good. I like the sound of that. It's really cool. One thing I did notice is that there's a sweet spot for these because they're all compact and you don't have a lot of granularity in terms of the movement of the little pots and switches and so forth. It's easy to get the wrong sound or the sound you don't like, and it's hard to find the sweet spot. And for these ones, I've noticed the sweet spot is just kind of 11 to 1, something like that. In that range is really cool, and then outside that range it starts to get a bit weird. Same thing with this one. Sweet spot here is about the same in the middle, 11 to 1 or 2, or between 10 and 2 is probably the best settings. This one here is the E-Lady, which I think is the flanger, and I called it the phaser by accident, because this one here is the phaser that I bought most recently. I haven't even tested it yet, so I'm dying to test this out. These are really good quality, Chinese made of course, but I think everything's made in China now anyway. Like, it's the same feel of metal and components as on those really expensive Boss pedals. And these are like a half, sometimes a third of the cost. The equivalent of this in the Boss world was going to be $305, I think. And this is a $69, I think it is, pedal, so on Amazon. So it's a lot cheaper, and the build quality is it's not bad. Not bad at all. Why is it out of focus? So, okay, I don't know why it's out of focus, but it is. But I'm very, very happy with the build quality and the sound of those other 2. So I'm hoping that this also is as good. We shall see. We shall see. This was an absolute mess before I started the live stream, and it's very messy right now as well, because the disappointing thing that I've discovered with pedals is that you do not get a consistently loud signal when you've got, how many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pedals hooked up in series. You get noise and you get a degradation in signal, and in the order that you plug these pedals into is really, really important. So you'll get a totally different sound if you mix up the order of these things, and if you put the looper at the front, then of course you won't get any of the effects being looped. So the looper always goes at the end, because then you can have all of the sounds recorded in the looper and play back what you're liking. So that always goes at the end. At the front, so the guitar plugs into this end, the output goes to the amp, that end. At the front, you've got to have the fuzz. The fuzz won't work properly unless it's getting the signal from the guitar. If you try to put this in after some pedals, you'll get a totally different sound, or it may be not even working the way that you like. Same thing goes for this Blues Mood pedal. I'm tossing up which one to put in front or biggest solution I think I've got now is to actually just have the bare minimum. So the minimum number of pedals that I want to use for a session is what I'll hook up, because the noise and the signal to noise ratio is just unbelievably high. So it means that my signal is competing with the noise in the background, and it's quite disappointing, I've got to be honest. I noticed that when I was testing last week, the volume on that, I don't need to have the afterburner on at all when I'm using a minimum number of pedals, but if I have more than 3, I've got to use the afterburner, and sometimes I've even got to use the boost on the GE7, that graphic equalizer down there. Otherwise I can't get the signal to be loud enough, which is very disappointing. I've got to tell you, very disappointing. So there's quite a lot of learning and fun to be had with pedals, and I'm enjoying that process right now. I'm pretty much done with my pedal purchases. I've got the fuzz. This has been grossly under, what's the word? Anyway, it's not valued highly enough. It is really good. This is really good. And to get the best sound out of the Octava, you've got to put it on obviously the mode in O for Octavia. I'm going to say Octava. And then you put this fuzz boost, the fuzz to the minimum, 0, and you make the level max, and then you get the best result. No one on the internet seems to understand how to use that with this pedal. There's 3 pedals in one, basically. You've got the fuzz bass, Maestro, and the Octava. So that's how you use that one properly. I'll show you. I'll do a demo on that for sure, because that's really interesting that no one else is using it the way that I think they could. This is a really underrated pedal as well. That was the word I'm looking for, underrated. This is really, really useful. Distortion, I love. That's also underrated. $79 on Amazon right now. Very good value. I bought this Charlie Brown from JHS. That is awesome. I love that one so much. Tremolo is just kind of utility pedal. I don't have tremolo, and that one comes in really handy. It does a great job. The delay, of course, is it the DD8? I love that. So good. Love delay. And then the Boss, I just love the way that they made that RC5 so versatile, so good, so easy. There's better pedals in terms of more tracks and things like that, but that's pretty good. You can get a backing track downloaded off their Boss Tone Studio website. And so you can have a backing track, then you can put your track over the top, and then you can dub over the top of that. So in effect, you have 2.5, 3 tracks. I say half because the dub track, once it's saved, you can't undo that dub. But up to the point where you don't save, you can remove that dub and put it back in if you want to. So it's like 2.5 tracks. It's really, really good. What else is there? They're all the new kind of things that have come into the Schack recently. Now what I'm trying to do is cut back on spending and then pull all of that together to make some beautiful sounds, hook it up into Ableton Live running on the laptop, and then start to make some really music that I like to then stream and show to you guys. And I want to actually do a stream where we can, not a stream, but a video where I can show you my music writing, music creation kind of process. Because I'm always open to suggestions and how to try new things to get new music going, basically. And I'm into that. So, which leads me to the next kind of point that I wanted to make or tick off was this channel. I've been doing YouTube since 2018. I had a YouTube channel. I started like watching YouTube in 2006, I think it was. I got the date anyway. So, but I really started making videos in 2018, 2019, I think it was. And we've got 103 subscribers in that time frame, which, you know, that's a long time to get a small number of subscribers. But I'm pleased it's worked out the way it has. I think if my channel had, for whatever reason, become more popular and there were more subscribers, I don't think I would have handled it and learnt from other people's mistakes in terms of burnout, in terms of trying to do more than what you're capable of, which is probably what I'm doing now. So it's not a bad thing, you know, to have a small number of subscribers. And I actually prefer it now, looking back on it. I'm glad it's worked out this way, because it's a community that we're building of people that actually enjoy what I enjoy as well. That's what happens in life. People come together who think the same way or do the same kind of things, and therefore have a what's the word, like a common understanding of the world and the way they want to interact in it. So I'm not trying to please someone to try and make sure that you know, you like me and you want to be into what I do. You just do you like what you do. It happens to be the same kind of thing that I do, and then we get along, and it's a really tight kind of good community, and good friendships are made and things like that. And that's a similar story for, you know, my consultant James and I. We've been friends for quite a while now, and we've had our ups and downs and, you know, disputes and things like that. But we've always managed to get over that and come back to be friends again. And that's what I want with this channel. I want people who, we don't always have to agree, but we basically agree on that fundamental thing of I'm not here to destroy you, I'm here to build you up. And that's what James and I have, I think, at a deeper level, an understanding like that, where we have a lot of similarities and things we both enjoy, but there are things that we both do differently as well. And that's what I want with you guys, is the same kind of thing, where we don't have to have the same view, we don't have to do the same thing, but we have a appreciation of music, tech, you know, living in a loving way, like helping people and being good to people, those basics, and enjoying life in particular. That's just the joy of life. That's the big thing for me. I want that to be for all of us. So yeah, I just watched Tom Buck's video. He's got a podcast called The Enthusiasm Project. Tom Buck is an American. He's very what's the word, colourful, let's say. If you look at his channel, look up Tom Buck on YouTube. He's got a really cool channel. I really like it. And he's doing things which I'm interested in as well. So audio, video, nostalgia, music. So he's a bass player and guitarist and a drummer. I'm tried drums. I'm really bad at it, but I still like it. Bass I love, and guitar I like as well, and singing I like too. Writing music and, you know, getting tunes together, love that. So his channel is a channel which inspires me. So I'd recommend having a look at Tom Buck's channel. It's really cool. I've rearranged the Schack a little bit. I've got to dust off my uke and start playing that some more. I got a compressor there so that I could do some art and painting over here. This is to sell, this is to do, I've got to do my lawn. The problem was that wasn't powerful enough, so then I bought a second-hand compressor that wasn't good enough, so then I sold that, and I bought this compressor down here now to do proper painting with, spray painting. But then I bought that little tiny compressor to do more, what's it called, airbrushing. So I want to get into airbrushing. So this is what this station here is going to be, or this desk is going to be used for. But I've got to tidy it up. So obviously get rid of this stuff, put that up. Oh, there's paints there for the actual painting, which is cool. I've got to sell that. Yeah, so we're getting there. I managed to change the time, by the way, for daylight savings, but I think we're a minute behind, so I've got to fix that as well. What else is going on? That's about it. I've added a sustain pedal. Actually, that's a pedal going to the push 2 to do looping with. So I want to use this much more to get music going. But like I said before, I want to get that sorted first so I can get the sounds that I want using the looper down there, but also Loopy Pro on the iPad. Bit of a duplication, I know, but my idea is to get pedal sounds looped and then feed that back into Loopy Pro and then set up a track to record that and then add to it with that keyboard and then migrate it all over there to Ableton Live and then do some more production work over there. Whew. There's method behind the madness, basically. And madness is what we're talking about here. I just love this whole setup, though, I've got to be honest. Let's go back to auto. Whoops. Auto over here. Okay, that's it. So Dave and I, my brother and I, we did a musical extravaganza, I'm going to call it. It was 3 hours of us jamming. We may or may not do that again. I don't know. We'll see. But it's all set up for us to do that, or for me to do that too. I couldn't do Friday's live stream, even though I said I was going to do it. I got sick. You can kind of still hear it a little bit in my voice. And I'm kind of getting over it now. So I'm not going to say I'll do a stream this Friday, because I think I'm not going to have enough time to get myself prepared to do songs and get them ready. Which means I didn't get it done for last Friday either, obviously. So I need to set aside some more time to do prep work for that. A couple of song ideas in my head, but I've got to, like I said, get them presentable to a point where it's presentable. Or I could turn it into this is how I do music. Would you like to see what my music making process is? I could do that. So I might do that, but it won't be on Friday because it's too soon. I'll do something like that on the weekend instead, so I can get a bit more time, because I've got to also get myself, unfortunately, money-making ventures. I can't seem to sustain this yet. We've got, like I said, 103 subscribers, so that's cool. But I'm not expecting anyone to be jumping in and funding my lifestyle so I can do this. I think it'll happen over time as the channel gets bigger and we get more people subscribing, and I can kind of supplement my income from YouTube AdSense or something like that. I don't know yet. Thinking of doing a Patreon. I definitely want to get a website going and duplicate everything on YouTube onto my own website, just in case YouTube disappears for whatever reason in the future. Weird things happen in the world, so it could be that YouTube does disappear at some point, and I've put a lot of time and effort into this, making videos and stuff, and it's only now that I'm slowly feeling like I'm coming together in a way where it is good enough, and it'll just get better and better from now. So, I don't want to kind of lose momentum and lose what I've learnt through inactivity. So I want to be sure that what's coming in the future is going to be something that I'm enjoying. I'm not really one to worry too much about the quality, production, etc. You can tell, like, I just very much set up and go kind of thing. So not too concerned about my production value type thing, but I want to add value to what you're spending your time doing, listening to me rattle on. That's why I try and spend time with the things I've bought that I've discovered, which are, in my opinion, great value, especially these pedals of late. They're really, really well made. Like, seriously, I don't know if you can, I can't demonstrate how tough that is, but that's just solid as. It's really well constructed, very good materials. They've got a soft rubber base on the bottom here. I don't get anything from this. I am an Amazon affiliate, but I haven't got any affiliate links for this yet. I will put them up, but I'm not getting money from this. They're not paying me. There's nothing like that. I'm not into that. I want to make my money in other ways. I just like telling people about good things so that those companies can stay in business and keep on making good things. And these are good things. Mua they've been around for like 20 years. I didn't know. And I've only just discovered them, and I love it. Absolutely love them. They're great. They're as good, in my opinion, as Boss. But like I said before, their design of their electronics inside seems to be a little different to Boss's. Boss seems, you can change anything on any of those switches on Boss and you'll get a sound out of an effects pedal, which I think sounds great. But with this one here, with the Mua, you've got to kind of find that sweet spot. And so I'm just making sure that you understand that if you do buy the Mua products, that don't be surprised if you put it on minimum that it sounds bad, or put it on maximum that it sounds bad. Go for somewhere, like, sweep around and have a good play with all of the settings, so you'll discover what the sound is that sounds the best. On that note, I think that's pretty much all that I wanted to say for a quick and dirty Tuesday, and it's already not quick. if you want to know how I've set up these two mixing desks as well, I can explain that to you in great detail. It's been really good fun to get that going. The idea behind this was to be able to have two people in here performing and be able to control the volume for the mix for them alone. So it's almost like one mixer for them, one mixer for me, but not quite, because they interchange with each other to blend one microphone from one mixer to the other microphone on the other mixer, as well as feeding into the Rodecaster video inputs. So one of these goes in one channel and then one goes into the other channel. Is that it? Actually, no. No, this mixer fits into that, goes into that mixer, and the outputs of that mixer, the Yamaha, go into the inputs for the Rodecaster video. So left and right channel, stereo. So it's a stereo channel, and we've got one microphone left and the other microphone right. That's more how it works, yeah. And I'm feeding in the keyboard, the iPad with Loopy Pro running, just out of interest, into a Tascam X8 porta-capture mixer, which then goes through the cable into the pedals, and then out of the looper, the Boss RC5, into an amp, out of the headphones of the amp, into the mixer. So we can have our silent rock session, if you like. So we don't disturb the neighbours. So we can turn up as loud as we want. All they're going to hear is either us yelling, which hopefully we don't do a lot of, into the microphones, or the clicking of the strings. Yeah, so a good way to keep noise down and have fun at the same time. So is the wireless microphone working okay this time? I've put a bit of effort into that so that I can, theoretically, I can wander around the room. Oh, and we can look at Alfie too. So I can wander around the room, and hopefully the audio is still keeping up with where I'm going and what I'm saying, as I continue to talk like a robot. I'm doing this so that when I come back to review this video to see how the audio is, I can also see, yeah, it worked, or no, that didn't work, or I've got to fix up this or that. It's very echoey in here. I'm in the ensuite now, so you can't see me. And I just noticed 12-stringer up here. This is a very old 12-string guitar, and it's held up surprisingly well. I got the action quite low on it, and I was concerned there might be a bow appearing under the bridge, but that's not really expanding. There's a tiny, tiny gap between the bridge and the top of the guitar, but it hasn't changed at all. I've got to change the strings on it. I've actually got the 12 strings to change. I'll do that today maybe. And I picked up, I've got to show you that, it's a separate video. I've got a guitar over there, a nylon classical guitar, which reminds me of the one that I started learning guitar on. The one I learned on, $10, second, third, maybe even fourth hand guitar from one of my fellow physics students at high school, because my physics teacher, Tony Shady, he brought in a guitar to talk about harmonics. And that's when I first thought, wow, I might be able to play guitar. If that guy can play guitar, then maybe I can play guitar. And so I bought a $10 guitar. It's another story for another time. Yeah. So I saw one in Cash Converters, and I had to buy it. It was $40. I've left all the stickers on there, so it reminds me of where I've come from with guitar. And it's got a long way to go, but I've got to tell you, music theory is really, really, really interesting. And on the guitar, it's actually as easy to understand as it is on a piano or a keyboard. Once you get past a certain understanding, in particular around string 6 and string 5, the big E and the A string, if you can understand how to find the notes on those two strings in particular, it unlocks a lot more understanding of the other related strings on the guitar. And then in conjunction with that, understanding the kind of the basics of music theory, and in particular the Western style music, with the scale system that we have, which is the tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone pattern for scales, when you apply that understanding to the keyboard, to the fretboard on the guitar, it starts to make a whole lot more sense. So if you're learning guitar and you want to know how to unlock some more of the secrets around chord structure, lead guitar, melody, that kind of thing, I would start with understanding how do I map out all the notes on the fat E string, the 6th string, and the fat A string, the 5th string. And so if you can find the notes on those two strings using that technique of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone pattern, you'll start to unlock a lot more in the guitar. That's what I'm discovering. After playing it since I was 17, I'm now 60. What's that? That's like 43 years or something. That is crazy. 53 years, 43. Damn, a long time. Anyway, and I feel like I'm only just now discovering how to unlock the guitar. I haven't unlocked it, but what are the next steps to get past that hump of being a mediocre guitarist into being a good guitarist. I want to really become a good guitarist. So that's what I'm doing, is unlocking it step by step, bit by bit, while learning about music theory as well. And you can apply that to then any instrument you pick up: piano, clarinet, saxophone, guitar, bass, anything, because they're all following the same music theory to operate. And on those words of wisdom, I think that's going to do us. I think I'll have a day of recovery yet again, because I'm still getting over this stupid cold. Thanks, James. Yeah, James gave it to me. He picked it up. He does other work where he interacts with people of all walks of life, literally. And yeah, I went over to his place to have a coffee, and I'm pretty sure he coughed on me like that. So, okay, I'm going to go on that note, because it's a very sad note to go on. Okay, see you all. You'll see me next time, unless you interact. Which reminds me, let's just check to see if anyone's interacted. Let's have a look here. We have one view, we have no concurrent views, and we have no chats, which is understandable for a live stream on a Tuesday. Okay, with 103 subscribers. On that note, I will say goodbye. Goodbye, y'all. Good to see you. I hope that was informative to some degree. See you in the next one. Bye now.